Hi, today I'll be presenting to you what I know about the Decameron. An overview of the Decameron is that it is tales of love and tragedy, murder and mystery. The story is essentially about 3 young men and 7 young women running away from Florence, which at the time was plague-ridden. They went to seek refuge in a deserted villa in the countryside of Fiesole for 2 weeks. While they were there, each one of them would tell a story every night over the course of 10 days, which in all created 100 stories. The reason why it was 10 days instead of 14 was they did not tell a story on a Sunday, and on a Saturday they had chores. This is what the Decameron is about. It is effectively a story inside of a story, written by Giovanni Boccaccio. It is an amazing book of stories. In my next few slides, I will go into more detail about when it occurred, who were the significant people, why the Decameron was created, and what the Decameron is about, and how it happened. Okay, now, on to my first subject. When the Decameron was written, it was written in the time of 1348 to 1353, and its influence on the Renaissance literature throughout Europe was enormous. And yes, it was during the Renaissance period. As you can see here, I have put several photos of the Renaissance period here. Most of it is artwork, because that's what it was famous for. It's artwork and literature. So here is an artwork here and here. Here's just an example of some of the books that you might have seen throughout that period. Now I'll go on to why the Decameron was created. Now, that's a hard one, as nobody really knows why. It's like asking why someone writes up an action novel and releases it. It's because it's what they wanted to do. But I theorize that the reason why Giovanni released this is because he wanted to make a document of the plague times. Though this particular document is fiction, it might actually, relate to what happened. As you can see here, this is a portrait of Giovanni. In his hand, he is holding a book that could be the Decameron, or just another book, as it was the Renaissance period at the time, and there was a lot of literature going on. My next subject is, what is the Decameron about? Now, on the title page, I described to you what it is mostly about, with the 10 people all telling stories for 10 nights, therefore having a total of 100 stories by the time they took off from the villa. To go into more detail, is to go on why they ran away from Florence, is because of the Black Death, which was the name of the plague. It was killing many, and a lot of people at the time had to flee Florence. And then, the survivors were some of those people who did that, and it begins with them telling the stories of love and tragedy. Now, the stories have quick wit and many other entertaining aspects, and the very idea of a story being inside a story is interesting enough for anyone to read it. Now, here I have the Decameron, which, as you have probably grasped from what I have said, is a book of short stories, yep? But different because it's telling a story about people telling stories. So it's basically like lots of little short stories with a main plot behind it, right? It's about different topics, same topic, the Black Death, and just how these people survived. My final subject is, how did this happen? Which sort of ties in with why was it created, like, why did the Decameron happen? Effectively, the Decameron provides a document of life at the time. Written in the language of Florence, it is considered a masterpiece by many. The Decameron, like I said before, was also an amazingly huge influence during the Renaissance period. Thank you for listening to my presentation. As you can see here in the font, these are my references that I managed to get my information from, and hopefully you can read that and maybe even learn more than I have.